Today is January 18th and I'm going to plant some peas today. Where I live, we have a very moderate climate. Peas don't like it really cold, like 20 degrees and below that. They might suffer some damage and they probably won't die, but they don't like it much colder than that. They preferred temperatures below 50, but not over. They prefer temperatures above 50, but less than 70. And our temperatures right now have been, I think the lows have been high 40s and the highs have been high 50s. So we're gonna go ahead and get some peas planted today. And I might bring the pot in for them to germinate and sprout, and then bring it out on sunny days and maybe keep it in a sunny window if we have a lot of rains and things. So let's go get started. So the peas that I'm going to be planting today are snap peas. Snap peas are great because you can eat the pea inside plus the shell, so you get a lot more bang for your buck. I generally only plant snap peas and then the snow peas for stir fries and such. So I have a pot here and it was used last year to grow tomatoes in, so I'm going to add a little bit of fertilizer to it and then I'll show you how I plant the peas. So what I happen to have is this Dr. Earth's Flower Girl fertilizer, and that's what I'm going to use because that's what I have on hand. So I'm just going to take like about a handful and sprinkle it into the pot. And then I'm just gonna work it in a bit. Okay, so I've worked the fertilizer into the soil. And excuse that chainsaw noise in the background, that would be my dad cutting wood. Anyways, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put the seeds on top just to show you kind of how I space them. And then go ahead and I'll bury them with soil in a second. Okay, that's what it looks like when I'm done planting the pot. I put them maybe an inch apart all over the place. So you can imagine it's going to be a jungle once they start getting any height to them at all. But I'll put a tomato cage in here and they will all climb up the tomato cage. And we will get a lot of peas out of this little pot. When I bury them, I just put them down with my finger, oops, and then pat on top really well. Usually I soak the seeds first, but I wasn't actually planning on doing this today, and then I ended up with a little bit extra time, so I'm able to take the time and get some garden projects going today. So now all I have to do is add the tomato cage and this pot is good to go. I've already planted 2 of these at school. I'm a teacher, so in our building we have a nice sunny south facing window, and one of the pots has sprouts this big and the other one they're just starting to come up. So right now during the day when the temperatures are nice and warm and sunny, well, today's high temperature was supposed to be 61. It felt nicer than that. I do have multiple layers of clothing on, so maybe it was just 61. But, so they're getting to live outside in the weather, so I don't have to worry about hardening them off later. And they're doing really well. So last year I did this on accident. So COVID happened. At school we had to leave school in March. And the kids had all planted a bunch of seedlings, and then I had all these seedlings and nothing to do with them, nowhere to put them. And where we live, you can't plant until probably middle of May at the earliest. I try to get things going by Mother's Day, but that doesn't always happen because our ground has a lot of clay, and so it holds water, and often it's too wet and mucky for us to actually get any seeds in the ground because it's just going to rain on them and they're going to rot and it's not going to work. So I had all these seedlings. I ended up potting up a bunch of different seedlings and the peas did amazingly well. My granddaughters got to benefit the students' seedlings. They just grew beautifully in pots, and we had peas like a good 2 months before any of the other peas that we planted were able to come up and ripen. So yeah, it's worth a shot to try it. It's a fun thing. If you have room in your house or your porch, or if you have somewhere to bring them in the evenings if your temperatures drop pretty low, this one I'm going to bring in just so it can germinate, and then it's probably going to just live on the porch. It won't mature as quickly without the warmer temperatures, but it'll still mature. It'll be fun. All right, I'm going to get a, what do you call those, tomato cage, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I just push a tomato cage in the pot, but once I do that, I'll show you what it looks like. So as soon as the peas are planted, if you put these tomato cages in them, it won't disturb the roots at all. So this is a planter that was planted maybe a week ago, and this one was planted a couple days before this one. And so as the peas grow up, they'll just grow up the vine, they'll grow up the cage, and we'll get a ton of peas off these. So if you have a small area, this is awesome. I'm gonna bring them in for the night, but yeah, I wanted to show you what they look like with the tomato cages in them.